All right, job snatchers. I am so excited to start my series of Job Snatch Her with Susanna. I
Yeah.
am so excited. I'm so appreciative of your time. I would love for you to give us your intro and let us know who you are and what you're about.
Sure. So, hello, everyone, and welcome to this opportunity to connect with us today. I'm pumped. My name is Susanna Briscoe Alba. I am the lead career strategist at Dunamis Coaching and Consulting Services, and we teach women how to land six-figure roles through leadership development and career strategy. Because our theme for 2024 is that we are going to be well loved, well hydrated, and well paid. And so
Period.
that is what we are after. On this side, my love.
I love it. I love it. That's what we're about as well. We love to get to a bag,
Yes,
especially women of color. I love for
for
you to get to a
sure.
bag. So, to jump right into it, because I know time restraints are
Yep.
on our side, I want to learn about a pivotal moment in your career journey that helped shape your path to success.
Oh man, a pivotal moment in my career journey I think once I stepped into owning who I was and being able to speak comfortably from a place of affirmation and not a place of desperation, I think that changed the way that I looked at my career and then how that opened the door for my success. Um, and that sounds real fancy. So to give a little bit more context, I think that for a long time, I would try to hide or I would try to play small because I wanted to be palatable. I didn't want to offend anyone. And it came to a point where I realized, listen, this is who I am. This is the way that I've been created. And if you're offended by just me being me, that sounds more like a you problem than it is me.
Period. Exactly. So, give me two of your favorite career affirmations.
Um, Two of my favorite career affirmations is I already have everything that I need to be successful. And my favorite one is God doesn't tease me. And what I mean by that is that when God puts you in certain places or allows you to see certain things, it's not just to tease you, but to show you that it is possible for you as well. And so, in being able to just remember those two affirmations, and my I'll give you a third one. My
Yes.
other favorite one is that there's no traffic in called lanes. So when you operate in your gift and you stay in your called lane, you will see success. But if you get yourself caught up in comparing your journey to then everyone else around you, you will find yourself frustrated more often than not.
Ooh, I like those three. I love those three. Ooh, I have to write them in the comments at some point today because those are good. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
So, give me some insight to the skills or qualities you believe have been essential in your career advancement.
Oh, I think keeping a moldable spirit, a teachable spirit, being able to put myself in spaces where I'm not the smartest person in the room. So like that, you can continue to learn, you can continue to grow. And I would say the other one is finding the right mentor and understanding that mentorship is not a one size fits all. So when I say finding the right mentor, my mentor for work will likely not be the same as my spiritual mentor or as my financial mentor. So being able to get right mentorship, but understanding that it's not a one size fits all type of model.
Period. What do you think are some key factors people should look at when they are looking for a mentor or somebody that'll support them?
In the world of social media that we live in, I would say don't get caught up in the following and in their numbers. Get caught up in the impact that they've actually made. I think that there's a lot of coaches and gurus in the space in which you and I operate that they sound real good and it looks real good and they may even have a large following, but when it comes to practicality and implementation, they tend to lack in that area or they fall flat. Um, so when you're looking for a mentor, look for someone who has gotten to where you want to be and is not intimidating or intimidated by you going further than where they have been. And I think that that has been transformational for me, because the mentors that I've had the blessing of being around wanted to see me go further than they did. And so in the moments where I wanted to shrink, they were like, absolutely not.
There it is. There it
Mhm.
is. That is a key point. You don't want anyone who doesn't want you to go further than them.
Absolutely. And I think that there are so many people who are intimidated by that. Like, I'm going to coach you and I'm going to mentor you up until a certain level. But the moment that you start to exceed or get ahead of me, then that becomes problematic. And it's like, what a small mentality that is for you to say
Right.
something like that. Right. And again, there's no traffic in called lanes. So if I've been called to it and
Yep.
you've been called to your area, then you are going to see success, because that is where you have been uniquely crafted and created for. You know?
Yes. You
So
are
when you can
preaching.
operate, yeah, when you can operate from that place, I think that two things happen for the mentor and the mentee. Um, the mentor operates from a place of affirmation instead of a place of desperation. And the
Yep.
mentee then learns what true mentorship looks like, so like that they can pay it forward. So I think when you're able to find that type of relationship and you're able to operate in that space, and it's a safe space for both of you, I think the sky's the limit.
I love that. You're absolutely right. And I think it takes a lot of intention when you're finding the right coach or mentor. And it's okay
Absolutely.
to interview your coaches. It's okay to have a screening call,
Absolutely.
because what ends up happening is you don't want to put yourself in a pickle. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you've picked this heavily liked influencer, right?
Yeah,
Who
for
doesn't know
sure.
what they're doing, who has no idea how
Yeah,
to give you career clarity or help you get your career clarity or help you navigate this road, especially in a market like we're seeing right now.
absolutely. And so what happens is that you will start to identify whether it's true or not when it sounds real good, but no one else is able to implement what they have seen. And what I love about the communities that we've built is that what we share, if you're paying attention and you are about that life, that you seriously are trying to make change, and you're aware that it's not just for the right now but for the legacies that come after you, you will see success. But I think that a lot of people get caught up in the fact, well, I need it right now. It has to happen right now. And so people will sell you right now solutions. And then you wonder why 5 years from now or 10 years from now, you're still stuck in the same cycle. May I submit to you that you probably have a band aid over an issue that is probably much deeper. And because you were not willing to go deep, you were more focused on the wide, you're still stuck in the same spot.
Absolutely. And to be able to move forward, you need somebody who's a little tougher than you. I will say that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For sure. And it's interesting. I don't know if this happens to you, but it happens to me when people reach out and they're like, oh, Susanna, I'd like to work with you. I have a lot of questions before I start working with anyone. Like, why do you want to work with me? Where do you want to go? How do you see this being successful? Because the truth is that as much as you're going to be investing with me, I'm also going to be investing with you. And time is such a limited commodity that I want to make sure that the people that I am connecting with are actually going to maximize our time together. And
Absolutely.
it's not like you're coming to me to find all of the answers, because that's not what it's about.
And then I have to identify if you're coachable. I coached high school girls for a little over a decade. I'm not
Mhm.
afraid of anything, but if you're not coachable, I can't work with you.
Yeah,
When we have to gel, we have to mesh. I know that their personalities are different.
sure.
So, I'm in stature, I'm 5'4", but spiritually, I'm 6'2".
Come on now.
So I'm coming with the energy, I'm coming to hype you up, but I'm also coming with corrections and making sure
Yeah,
that I lovingly send you in the right direction in your career and making sure you feel that. So
absolutely.
it's so
Absolutely.
different. You hit the
And
nail on the head.
you have to be willing to, like, for me, one of the things that I tell my clients is that when you are working with me, I'm expecting you to see success. because we are working together. So that should not be our marker. Our marker should be is after you have finished this relationship and after you have learned and implemented what you came to me for, are you continuing to see that success? Because I want you to be able to get to a place where, okay, I've been here before and the old me would have been stuck. But the new me now knows what to do and how to get past this. But I think that, again, a lot of people work on very surface level things,
Yes.
and so they find themselves in a position where they're stuck and they're not sure where to go. And then they want, at least for me, when they get to me, they're like, oh, I've invested with a coach before and it didn't work, and then I
Yes.
have a whole lot of questions.
Right. And then I have to really explore, where are we with your confidence?
Yeah,
Where are we with your imposter syndrome?
yeah,
People don't think that these two factors play into successful coaching,
right.
successful outcomes. And I love that you said it, I expect you to be successful. But for
Hmm.
some reason, if we hit this marker again, you shouldn't need me. I've given you the tools to be successful
Exactly.
without me. So when
Exactly.
you run into clients that may experience heavy imposter syndrome or low confidence, what's your take? What's your approach?
I think that there's a deeper root there that we have to uncover. And depending on the client, um, I ask straight out, like, are you comfortable getting uncomfortable? Because as your coach and as the consultant, like, that's the other part to our work, is that we're consultants. So we're just not going to tell you stuff to make you feel good. The idea is to be able to give you a plan for you to be able to implement so that you can continue to see success and growth. But
Completely.
if you're not willing to address the deeper root of what is causing that imposter syndrome or what is causing that lack of confidence, then I could give you frameworks and suggestions up the wazoo. But if you're not willing to address the deeper issue and kind of sit with that for a little bit, why am I letting this impact me so much when the
Right.
data is telling me something different? why
Right.
why am I choosing to let that be the voice that I listen to over the voice of, I've been here, I'm strong, I can get through this? Like, why are we choosing to do that? And some people are not ready, right? Like, they're just not ready to have that conversation, and I can respect that. But until we're not ready to have that conversation, that lack of confidence and that struggle with imposter syndrome will continue to, like, just hover over you. So you know that there's more within you. And for many of our clients, they know that they need to move from the environments in which they're in,
Right.
but they're afraid because chaos is what they know. And so, because they're familiar with operating in chaos, the idea of peace is just like, oh, that's scary.
It's
Like,
nerve wracking.
what? And it's
Yep.
like, okay, but chaos and struggle do not need to be your standard, but you have
Right.
to be willing to move out of that.
That's what I'm
So,
talking about.
for sure.
Ooh. Hit me in my chest. Chaos does not have to be a place you have to operate in. And a lot of people
No.
struggle in pulling themselves out of that. I know with my clients, I'm like I said, I'm really feisty. Like if I tell you I'm gonna help you
Mm,
drop kick self-doubt, I mean that. Like you're gonna drop kick self-doubt and
sure.
you're going to operate at ease. I really
Yeah.
like that. And as we consult our clients, that's our main goal. We want to make sure that you feel good, you operate well, and you see the results that you anticipated, if not more.
Absolutely.
As you
Absolutely.
build your approach, as you build with your clients, what is your approach to achieving their career goals, both short term and long term?
So, short term, I would say get into job alignment. So, one of the things that we do is we go through the shape exercise. What are your strengths, your heart, your ability, your personality, and your expertise?
Oh,
And
I
the
love
reason that the reason that we do that is because I find that a lot of my clients, especially Black and Brown women, by the time they get to me, they are exhausted
yes.
because they've been doing the job of 3 to 5 people, getting paid the salary of one, and
Yes.
then being asked, well, why are you so angry? Why are you so tired? Like, why are you so upset? And it's like, dude, I'm tired. I'm
Right.
doing the work of everyone else. And I think that there's also you and I were talking about this not too long ago about the lie that happens after you graduate from school. Like you'll immediately get a job, you'll be able
Right.
to like ascend quickly, and you'll be in your dream job by a certain age. And it's like, who said that?
Who told you that lie?
And the in the short term, the biggest thing that I want to identify is what does success look like for you? Because as Black and brown women, we have been told what success looks like from the purview of someone else,
Right.
whether that be our immigrant parents, whether that be the professors who we were under in school, whether that be the jobs that we have taken. Success has been determined 9 times out of 10 by somebody else. So by this age, you should be married. By this age, you should have a house. By this age, you should be at this level in your organization.
Right.
And at what point did you decide what success will look like for you? So
Absolutely.
let's get clear about that. And the way that we get clear about that is by doing the shape exercise. And so that's in the short term, because then like that, we can get you into alignment, right?
Right.
And then in the long term, what is the gift that you uniquely have that will provide for your provision? So one of the things that I shared recently this week was that your passion will be tied to your purpose. I'm in a space where a lot of people are like, oh, I'm trying to find what my purpose is. I'm trying to find what my purpose is. And sometimes we miss what our purpose is because we're busy trying to pay attention to what everybody else is doing.
Yep.
And so I like to call it the 3 Ps. Your passion will be tied to your purpose, and your purpose will be tied to the provision that comes from you operating in your purpose.
I
But I
love
think that a lot of people don't know what purpose is or have a very confused understanding of what purpose is. And they've disassociated the purpose with the passion. So to
Right.
give an example, I am passionate about teaching. I am passionate about teaching women. And the times where I feel the most alive is when I am operating in those two spaces, when I am able to passionately teach women how to secure 6-figure roles. So at the beginning, you asked me, introduce yourself. What is it that you do? That is what I am passionate about. The reason that it leads to my provision is because I want to be able to bring as many women to that 6-figure marker. Because while it sounds really nice, for many, that's just a starting point, not
Yep.
the culmination. And so I operate from that place in those 3 Ps because it's going to provide for me in a way that perhaps money may not, but I have incredible fulfillment when I get a message from one of my clients who's like, girl, I was able to negotiate like I've never negotiated before, or I'm in this new role and it's peaceful. Like it's the fact, like I'm not in a dumpster fire. Like those are the provisions that I'm talking about. Yes, the money is nice and it may come, but one of the things that I ask my clients to think about, should this flop and you never make a dollar again,
Yep.
will you still be equally as passionate?
Oh, that's a good question. Say it again.
Should this flop and you never make a penny again, will you remain equally passionate?
That's
And
a hard question.
that is a hard question because we've been taught to pursue paycheck. This is why
Yep.
so many people I find live paycheck to paycheck.
Yep.
And so when you're pursuing a paycheck, you don't give yourself margin or the space to actually operate in your purpose. And that may not be true for everyone, right? Because
Right.
there are some people who are operating in their purpose, and they're operating passionately in it. But for many of us, it's taken us a long time to get to that place.
Right.
So, yeah,
You're right. No, you're absolutely right. And then I am curious, this market we're in is very interesting, right?
for
And
sure.
we see layoffs every day, unfortunately.
Mhm.
How are you keeping your clients encouraged in this market? I know for me, I have to remind my clients that we still have a secret sauce. There are still jobs hiring. We just
Yeah,
have to make sure that we pivot in the right direction of our strengths and
yeah,
making sure that we are very selective in the companies that we want to apply to and reach out to.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the more informed you are, the
Yes.
better position you put yourself in. So, one of the things that I share with my clients, and I'll share with your audience as well, if they're not aware, is to look at the WARN tracker. So warn is an act where companies have to notify the government at some point that they are going to be laying off people. And the Warn Tracker, warntracker.com, starts to give you information in terms of organizations that have put in the notice that layoffs are coming and the anticipated date of when those layoffs will be.
Okay.
Because when you have that type of information, that you move different when you have that type of information,
Heck yeah.
right? And
I
so
get
if
my
you
time back because I'm not going to focus on these companies that are getting ready to do these layoffs and don't have the financial space or capabilities.
absolutely. And so when you have that kind of information, you move differently. You also start to look at the industry differently, right?
Yes.
So I know that a lot of people are talking about tech, like tech is where it's at, tech is where you want to go. And in the same token, a lot of people have gotten laid off in tech recently.
Right.
Right. What I encourage my clients to look at are, okay, so we know that tech is hot, but tech is
Right.
hot not only in the tech industry. Imagine what would happen if you took your tech skills into another industry where you can maximize those. So okay, perhaps you are not working for Google or Meta or something like that, but there
Right.
is a agricultural company who is looking for a software engineer that they need that type of skill set to be able to move their company forward. Well, now that's still tech, it's just in a very different industry.
Absolutely. The biggest thing I take from that is reminding people and the audience is watching, take the blinders off. We get
Yeah,
so wrapped up into this pretty wrapping of Meta, Google, which is great. But
yeah,
there are so many other companies that can value what you bring in the tech industry and still pay you well. We
exactly.
forget that. We forget that there's other
Exactly.
companies. But if
And
it's not
so,
the big, the big ones,
yes,
like, no, it's okay. Better go get your money somewhere else.
okay. Especially if they're willing to pay you what it is that you want.
Right.
The other place that I tell people to look at, and I don't know if it's because just I'm trying to find the right word, but maybe unaware,
Mhm.
is BLS.gov, right? So the Bureau of Labor
Yes.
Statistics is another great place for you to, again, accumulate data. Because
Yes.
while tech might be an area like that we just talked about, where
Yep.
there's experiencing layoffs, what are the other industries, as per BLS, where there is growth, where you can apply that technical skill?
Absolutely.
That perhaps you're like, oh, I didn't even think of that. I didn't even realize. And like a lot of this information is free. But what I find is that people either one, don't know, or two, have those blinders on.
Yep. It's the blinders and we don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. So having
Absolutely.
conversations like this, you're dropping gems at that. Let me make sure I put that out there. Susanna, you are dropping gems. So for the people who watch this replay, they might want to go ahead and pause so they can get all of this information. I
Yeah.
try to make sure I put them in the comments, but doing your due diligence as a job seeker, job snatcher, as I call them, is
Yeah.
imperative to make sure that you
Absolutely.
don't end up in heartache a year later, that you
And I
don't.
would say, yeah, no, for sure. As a hiring manager, I would also say, like, I love when I can come across a candidate who has done their research.
It makes a difference.
Oh my goodness, does it ever? And for those who might be watching live and you're either catching this on the replay, I can share with you from a hiring manager's perspective. I value those types of candidates or those types of job snatchers or employees who do their research and then present possible solutions. Because as a hiring manager, as one who is responsible now for an organization and making sure that things run smoothly, I'm already dealing with a lot of fires at any given point. So if
Right.
you are to present something that now is an additional fire,
Mhm.
present the possible solution, and that allows me to know how can I continue to cultivate this individual because they move different. And so I want to keep those types of people. But if all you're doing is just telling me the sky is falling, the sky is falling, the sky is falling, it's like, baby, I know.
I know, and I'm catching pieces. How are
Right.
we going to do this together?
I'm aware, right? So it it puts you in a very different position. And again, it equips you with data. So one of the things that you asked me before was like, how do you prepare your clients for certain things? And this
Yep.
is another gem that I'm going to drop. So if you're watching, pay attention.
Here we go.
One of the things that I encourage my clients to do is to have and keep an evidence list. An
Ooh,
evidence list will allow for you to see in black and white where you are being the most impactful and how you are being impactful. So on your evidence list, it should track what type of work, what tasks are you doing? What type of work are you doing? Who are you working with? What have been some of the outcomes of this project? Have you been able to complete the project on time, on deadline, and under budget? The reason that I encourage folks to do that is because I don't know about you, but when we get to writing resumes, people are like, oh, well, I worked with such and such in X department. And then once we have conversations, it's like, that wasn't such and such. That was the vice president or the
right,
CEO.
right. Give us the juice. Give us the
Yes. Stop downplaying the fact that you are, in fact, impactful. And
right.
so, when it comes to keeping an evidence list, that also helps job snatchers when you go on an interview. Because when we ask you questions surrounding the work that you've done, what kind of
Yes.
impact do you anticipate to bring up about? Can you tell me about yourself? What I run into is people are like, well, I'm I'm a mom and I graduated from X, Y, and Z, and I was able to do this. And it's like, no,
So
no,
much
I don't
more. I
know.
don't care about that. Give me more. Give me more.
Exactly. So
Like
an
I tell
evidence
people,
helps.
I'm sorry, you hit the nail on the head. This is so important. Like the gem was dropped and then thrown because I love that you call it an evidence list. And I tell people, you keep a brag book or whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
But it's also beneficial when you are going into your review. When you're getting
Yes.
ready to negotiate that salary, bring that book out, honey. Bring the book. Let us
Yep.
know what you've done. Use
Sure.
ICE. I love to use impact change with examples.
Yes.
Always. Especially
Yes.
when we're writing resumes. I want to know what are you going to do? I tell people want to know how you're going to make the money or save the money. If
Right.
you can convey those two things during a 20-second pitch, during an interview, on your resume, LinkedIn, however you want to, you know, present your information, then you're
Sure.
good as gold.
Exactly.
You're good
Exactly.
as gold. Oh, you dropped a big one. I hope people understand that they should probably start creating their evidence list this week.
Yeah,
Because
today's a great day to get started.
we forget, and that's the other part. You forget all of the amazing things you do month in to
Yes.
month in or quarter to quarter, day to day. If I talk to
Absolutely.
100 people weekly, I'm going to make sure I make note of that.
Because
Like,
here's the thing, like there are people who can't talk to one person or talk to
right,
three, and you're talking to 100 people weekly,
that part.
and they're like you're not just talking to them, but you're building a relationship, and
Yes,
they're telling other people like, if I don't work with this person, I'm not doing this at all. That is
right.
impactful,
Absolutely.
right? So those are the things that you want to make sure, like, don't fall into the trap of toxic humility. And I think that that is something
Ooh,
that
that's a good
black
one.
and brown women, like, we fall into that because we've been taught or we've been told that if you brag too much, then you're too proud or you're too conceited or nobody's going to appreciate that, when our counterparts who are non-melanated, they are seen as assertive, as people who know how to present themselves well, that they're the ones who bring the most value. And I'm like, what would happen if we actually operated in that same place, but in a way that is not necessarily jerk like?
Right,
Like,
right.
and be able to support that with the data that we have. And you mentioned
Absolutely.
something so good, that like this will help you during your performance reviews. I
Yes.
also tell people, pay attention to those performance reviews and the areas where they're telling you, oh, this was great, or this, you're meeting expectations, or
Yep.
like, pay attention to those kinds of things, because if you're meeting expectations and they're telling you that this is great, that may now be a new cue for you to pay attention to in terms of finessing or developing a character's trait within you,
Yep.
because sometimes we don't see it within ourselves. And so
Absolutely.
we look at job descriptions and we're like, I could never do that. And I'm like, they just told you in your
It's in
review
your
that you
review.
were great.
Right. It's in your review. Pay attention. It's
So
so much easier to
yeah,
hear from somebody else. And you mentioned,
absolutely.
especially women of color. I feel like I'm
Mhm.
experiencing that more this quarter with my clients, with
Yeah.
my Black and brown women clients. They
Yeah.
are being told basically to not sit down and be quiet, but
Mhm.
relax. Relax. You don't have to let me know everything you've done. Why not? I want to
Yeah,
be paid just like you. I want to make sure
absolutely.
that I make an impact where I am, that my role is being valued, that I'm being valued.
That's so good, because the other part to it too is that there is a certain level of gaslighting that if we don't call it out as it is, it's bullying.
It is bullying
In other spaces, it would be considered bullying.
and targeting. You're targeting.
Exactly. Exactly. So ladies, if this is happening to you and you're being told things like it's not that serious, or you
Yep.
seem to be really passionate about that, or you're looking too much into it, or they were
Or
just
you're
joking.
aggressive.
Oh,
That's my favorite. You're aggressive.
yeah. That's
I'm
been
just
my
supposed to take it.
reality.
I'm just supposed to take it though, because I'm
No,
giving you the same energy that you're giving me, but now you feel a certain way. That's not fair. You got to
exactly.
pull up your big boy pants and take it on the
Absolutely.
chin.
Absolutely. And I've heard that for a long time. Um, at first, I used to think maybe it's just the New York in me. maybe, maybe I just need to tone down the New York in me. But I knew that it was a you issue and not a me issue when I was just simply speaking or stating a fact, and people were just taking it completely out of context. And there has to come a point where you're like, I think there comes a point in you where you're like, am I going crazy? Like, am I losing it?
Right?
and and ladies, let that be a red flag,
Yes,
right?
a big one.
Because that is your body and your like mind telling you, I need you to pay attention to this a little bit more.
Yep.
And I need you to surround yourself with people who are going to speak life to you in this season.
Yes.
Because if you're
Yes.
not careful, the environment in which you're in will get you to believe things that are not true about yourself. And that's what gaslighting is.
And then there goes your confidence. There
Yeah.
goes your capability to communicate your value. And then
Yeah.
it just beats you down continuously,
100%. 100.
continuously. So, and I know this is kind of like off topic. Oh, it's not really. But if you have a client, and just for the audience, if you're in a toxic environment right now, what do you advise them to do?
Document, keep your evidence list, document as much as you possibly can. I would
Mhm.
also encourage you to activate your network. That's one of the things that I share with my clients. And I think that when people think of network, they immediately think of their job network, of their
Yeah.
professional network. Activate your personal network as well.
Yep.
And not that you want to tell people all of your business, but you do want to make them aware, hey, listen, if you come across an opportunity, these are some of the things that I really enjoy doing. And if you see anything, just send it my way. That's
Yep.
all. And the other one that I laugh at and I chuckle is block people who are going to take your piece. You can block people on LinkedIn.
Yes.
So if they're going to rob you of your piece, block
Block
them.
them. I love it. Block them. Absolutely. And don't feel any type of way about it, because you deserve to be in a peaceful space, especially in work. In your
Yeah,
work environment, it does not have to be high stress. You said it. We don't
yeah,
have to operate in chaos. We don't have to
no,
operate and be dysfunctional just because we feel like it's the
no.
element of the climate. It's not
And
it.
and not everyone should have access to you in the same way.
Agreed. Agreed.
So if it's going to rob you of your peace, that is cost and it's costing you your peace is too
Yeah,
expensive. So
absolutely.
it's time to activate that feature and it's there for a reason.
Right.
So block them as you see fit. And then the other thing when it comes to a toxic environment,
Mhm.
um, be careful of trauma bonds. I remember
Ooh,
I remember there was a season in my life where I did not want to make moves because I was bonded traumatically off of what was happening at work. And so what it sounds like you saying things like, I don't want to leave my team, or my team is going to need my help, or what happens to my team. And I can guarantee you that your team would much rather see you well and healthy than see you struggling,
yep,
or much worse, something worse happening to you.
right.
So be careful of trauma bonds. And I think that for me, it took me a long time to understand that it was not honorable,
Yep.
and that we want to honor the folks that we work with in some spaces because we've been through a lot.
Right.
But at what cost?
Ooh, that one made my heart drop to my stomach because the way, especially a lot of us, black and brown women, we know we want to make sure that everybody else is okay
Yeah,
before we check with ourselves, before we check with what's going to make us healthier,
sure.
because toxic work environments definitely impact our health.
Absolutely.
Our mental health is always on alert. And then
Mhm.
we put that to the side. My
Yeah.
team needs me. I've been here for so long. Like, what are they going to do without me? They'll
Mhm.
figure it out.
Yes, they
People will
will.
figure it out. People will figure it out, and some will leave right behind you.
Absolutely. And that was true in my previous season, where it was like, okay, I know that I have to make a shift. I
Yep.
know that it's scary. Um, I don't have all of the answers, but I know that if I stay in this space, I am going to continue to suffer. And
Yep.
I love that you said pay attention to your health, because for me, what I started to notice was how quickly I was gaining weight. I
That's
was
a big one.
drowning, yeah, I was drowning my emotions
Yep.
in a cookie or 12.
Right. You're absolutely
Uh,
right.
and
Just to
so
sustain your mental health.
yeah, and so pay attention to those kinds of things.
Yep.
Nothing tastes as good as peace feels. Nothing.
Ooh. Susanna, you did not have to come on here and light that fire. You did not have to drop that for
I
us.
did. I
It's
did.
so true.
Nothing
You
tastes
deserve
good.
peace.
Yeah,
You deserve
yeah.
peace.
And the trap, the thing that I want you to be aware of too is that I don't know if you hear this with your clients, but by the time they get to me, they tell me, I'm so tired by the end of the day that I don't have the energy to look for anything.
Yeah. Or I'm too
And
angry to even look because I don't want to be in the same environment.
yep. And so my response to that is then now you have to look.
You have no choice.
Exactly. Because if I can keep you tired and I could keep your mind in a fog, I can keep you from experiencing better.
Yep. I'm going to keep you right here, right where I want you, and you're going to continue to suffer.
Mm.
Like I said, this quarter for black and brown women, I don't know what's going on. I have
Yeah.
a good feeling, but they're suffering. They're
Yeah.
in spaces with people who don't look like them. They're in
Hmm.
spaces where their voice is no longer valued
Yep.
and they're
They're-
being overlooked
Yep. They're leading teams that they can't identify with.
at all.
They
Not even
are,
support.
yeah, they're expected to support um folks who don't have their best interest at heart.
Yep.
And so I have gotten to a point where I'm tired of that. I'm
Yes.
tired of that. And like I'm all for getting your seat at the table, but if it's going to come at the cost of your well-being, then it's time for us to build our own tables.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
you've
Oh my
seen me
God.
kind of talking about like this conference that I'm putting together and
Yes.
supporting women and helping them. It's because I've gotten to a point where it's like, okay, at one point I wanted you to have your seat at the table. But what is the point of getting a seat at the table and not having a voice? So
Right.
what we're going to do is we're going to equip you to be able to get a seat. But the moment that you are not able to continue to operate in that seat and you're not being listened to, we want to equip you so like that you know how to build your table, but not build it so that you sit by yourself, so that you make room for others. Because
Yes.
isn't it interesting that our women, Black and brown women, are
Right.
coming to us in different fields, telling us that they're tired, that they're overworked, that they're underpaid, and in many times they are isolated.
Yes.
But
Yes.
imagine what would happen if we actually started to build a table where you can sit here and you can sit here and you can sit here, and we start sharing information freely so that we can create opportunities for each other instead of competing, which I
Right.
think is what some of these environments have done for our women, is
Yep.
that there's only one position. And so we're going to make one position available for one woman. And now everybody is fighting for that one position.
Yep.
And it's like, why not create opportunities and spaces where we can have dialogue, where we can be safe to be vulnerable and be able to say, listen, there's this opportunity. I think you would be a really good fit. Let me equip you.
And let me put you in connection. We have such a large network.
Yes,
Start pulling each other into your network. You mentioned it. Use your personal network. Those
absolutely.
are the people who will fight the hardest for you.
Yep. And they've been exposed to your work and work ethic. And some
Yes,
of those people in your personal network, they have access to rooms that you will never be able to step into.
exactly.
But they can amplify your name even and eventually bring you into those spaces.
And
And that is my
amplify you.
hope and prayer for everyone who's watching us today, that your names would be spoken in rooms filled with opportunity. But it
Received.
comes at you
Received.
being able to be in those types of environments where you're welcomed,
Yep.
right? So
Ooh,
shameless plug.
yes. No, plug away. That was going to be my next thing. Tell me what you got going on. Our audience
Yes.
needs to know where to go to purchase, buy, whatever we got to
Yeah.
do.
So the Skelter Six Women's Leadership Conference is going to be taking place June 25th and June 26th in Poughkeepsie, New York. And it is 2 days of exactly this conversation of what we've had. Our
Mm,
speakers are going to be sharing their expertise and their knowledge, everything from education, which was my background, to project management, negotiating your salary, being able to articulate your unique value proposition in a way that positions you as an authority and the subject matter expert, how to build your confidence. And for those of us who have an entrepreneurial spirit, how to be able to leverage your 9 to 5 to be able to build your side hustle if eventually what you're trying to do is make your side hustle your main hustle. And so there's going to be a lot of opportunity and a lot of conversation surrounding all of those topics. But then also, how do I implement this once I go back to work? I love conferences. I really do. But
mhm.
what I struggle with some conferences is that they're not necessarily for me. in
Right. And that's true.
that, in that the folks who are sharing their experiences or sharing their knowledge have not lived through some of the things that you and I are discussing. And
Right.
so the conference is built with that in mind, that I want women to be able to see themselves in each of our speakers and also be able to be in spaces where we're building these tables together so like that everybody can have a seat and have a voice.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
And they can go to your LinkedIn and click on your connect,
Yep,
I mean, your connect button for sure, but go to your
absolutely.
LinkedIn for the link for your
For
upcoming conference.
registration. Yep. And
Mhm.
if I can drop it in the chat
Yes. Can you
if that
please
will be
drop it in the
helpful.
chat for
Yeah,
those who are going to watch the replay? That way
absolutely.
it's so much easier. And I really want to, first of all, I appreciate you coming in
Yay.
hot, launching my Job Snatch Her series, giving our audience something to take back with them. And then as we sign out, what
Mhm.
would be your best piece of advice for our audiences?
Oh man. Best piece of advice would be Everything you need to be successful, you already have.
I love
And I
it.
think that that comes from a place of you really are that girl. And in some environments, we've been told to tone it down, to keep quiet, um, to code switch. And I would say you have everything you need to be successful. The whole purpose behind the work that you and I do is so that women can feel seen, valued, heard, and equipped, and be supported and surrounded so that they can continue to thrive. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Susanna, you're a complete badass, if nobody told you today. I
thank you.
appreciate you. And a lot of the things you said resonated with me, and I know it's going to resonate with my audience. Um, you guys got a great treat today. This is how you start.
Thank
I'm so
you.
excited that this is how we launched. And for people, make sure you go and follow Susanna right after this, like now.
Yes.
Go and connect with her. And if you got something from this, make sure you leave her a recommendation.
Yes,
Makes a big
please. That would be awesome. And also tell me, what was your biggest takeaway, right?
difference. Ooh, yes,
What was
please
your
do.
biggest takeaway?
Because there were so many gems. There were so many gems. And I can't wait for people to rewatch and really gain a sense of purpose from this live.
Yes, yes. Thank you, my love. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for
Thank you.
supporting the women the way that you do. And thank you for allowing me to connect with your audience. This was absolutely incredible. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much and can't wait for episode 2.
All right.
Great.